Good morning. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that doesn't get a lot of airtime in the average church, and that's the dark night of the soul. The classic work on this is by St. John of the Cross. You can find his book, you can find articles about St. John's book all over the internet. But what he's describing is something that we see reflected mostly in the Psalms, times in David's life where it seemed like to David that God had walked off the job. He says, "How long will you forget me, Lord? Will you forget me forever?" It's that kind of idea of having had this wonderful, enjoyable, very affective relationship with God, and then having it interrupted, like you can't even connect with him. You're not sure he's there. Well, that experience has been called the dark night of the soul, and it typically happens two times in our spiritual life. One, it happens early on, and I'm talking about an experience that can last for months, and the other happens late. For example, when we first become a Christian, we find so much joy in knowing God and discovering our purpose and knowing our sins are forgiven, maybe seeing some real substantive healing in our marriage, in our personal life, around addictions, all kinds of things. And we're really, really enjoying this experience with God. And then it seems like all of a sudden, God turns out the lights. And the way we have connected with him for years suddenly doesn't work anymore. Well, what God is doing is he wants to mature our faith. He wants to sustain us in the difficult times, because you know what? Life is not all goodies, is it? It's not always about feeling good all the time. It's not always about the happiness highs that we often seek when we're young believers. It's really about knowing that even when there's dark times, we can connect with God. So why does God turn out the lights? God turns out the lights to show us that there's more ways to connect with him than simply the happiness highs of worship, or the ways we've prayed and asked for things and seen his responses. He wants to teach us how to commune with him, how to connect with him, even when our circumstances are very dark. So he's expanding our capacity to experience him in these dark times. It's not that God's walked off the job, it's that we have to learn to connect with him in ways other than the ways that have kind of been tried and true, and maybe sometimes trite. So that's the first dark night. The second dark night typically happens after we've walked with Jesus for a long time. It's been described as the deathing of the self. So what God is doing in the second dark night is he is relentlessly stripping away our ego, the ego that gets so invested in our accomplishments, in what we've done for God, and like in my case, and being a pastor, being the founding pastor of a church. God is relentlessly stripping my ego out of this building, out of this place, so that I know that it really is all about him. And so the second dark night is about completing that healing that he started years ago, because it's our ego really that gets in the way of everything. And I know that I have been my own worst enemy when it comes to that. But you and I are going to experience from time to time what we call dark nights. It may happen early in your spiritual life, and you may wonder what's wrong. There's nothing wrong. God is deepening your walk with him. It may happen later in your life. In the later dark night, you don't doubt God's presence. You know how to connect with him in the dark times, but you just sense that he is busy at work, stripping away everything that works against our good, our growth, and his ultimate purpose. So God bless you. I hope you have a great day.